The engines love to tell scary stories when Halloween season rolls around. At Tidmouth, engines gather around as Edward weaves a web of whistling spectres and wailing spooks. However, the engines at Farquhar don't have this liberty. Mavis and Rosie are newer engines, so they don't know many ghost stories, and Fergus has worked at quarries all his life, never hearing a tale to tell. Here, however, the engines at Farquhar found themselves in an unusual predicament. They were finishing up their duties when Toby pulled in, a line of empties in tow. They didn't pay much mind, as Toby was a regular, but they were surprised when Toby nestled in beside them at the shed that night.
Good evening, Toby. What are you doing here?
Smiled Mavis. I didn't have too much to do this evening, nor tomorrow, said Toby. So I asked the Fat Controller if I could spend the night with you lovely folk.
Halloween's a real fun time to tell spooky stories,
said Rosie cheekily.
Let's hear it, Toby.
Engines gathered around as Toby began his story. It was a warm summer's day, and a man and his grandchildren were spending time at the beach. Toby wove a web of interesting intricacies and frightening legends. As the old tram engine rounded the corner, he came face to face with a ghost.
Fergus just laughed. Don't be frightened, Rosie. It's just a story.
He looked at Toby next.
And not a very good one to boot. A ghost story is supposed to be interesting. It's supposed to be scary. Do it right.
How can I make a true story more interesting than it is? Asked Toby simply. Fergus spluttered, trying to think of something to say, before storming into the back of the sheds. Fergus is just jealous that he can't come up with a better ghost story, he said warmly. Well, that's a wrap. Good night. Toby chuffed into his berth, leaving Rosie and Mavis quite frightened. Next morning, everyone went back to work. Toby and Mavis made their ways up to the quarry, while Rosie and Fergus went to the coal mine. They had a way of doing things at the coal mine. Fergus would shunt trucks throughout the mine, and Rosie would take the loaded trucks down to the main line. They worked well into the afternoon, until trucks started to run sparse. Toby volunteered to fetch more, leaving Rosie alone in the mines. Dark walls towered above the little pink tank engine, and the machinery cast shadows across the quarry floor. Suddenly, a groan came from the mine.
Who's there?
Stammered Rosie. The groan grew louder. Rosie jolted back as fast as her wheels could work. Out of the mine, the worse for wear Fergus. Coughing and hacking, he carefully traversed the coal mine with the trucks in tow.
Rosie?
He called.
Rosie, I've got your trucks.
Fergus paid no mind, and Rosie crept slowly back into the mine as Fergus struggled up the hill.
Oh, so that's how it is,
snickered Rosie.
Well, I can give you what for.
The next day, Rosie tried everything she could think of. Tried spooking Fergus from in the mine, tried from around the corners, she even tried from inside the sheds. At last, he lost patience.
Rosie,
he snapped.
You keep disappearing to who knows where, and work isn't getting done.
Rosie was ashamed.
I only wanted to spook you.
She puffed away slowly. That night, Rosie and Fergus found themselves awake late. The backlog of coal cars had caused them to work long into the evening and beyond. They had wished to watch the trick-or-treaters go from door to door, collecting sweets, but Rosie's tricks made them miss the event, and Fergus was none too pleased. As Rosie was pulling away a train, Toby pulled in.
Oh, hello, Toby. What are you doing here?
She asked. I'm here to help, of course, he smiled. Let's get this done, eh? Toby soon took charge, to the annoyance of Fergus, and things ran like clockwork. Then, disaster struck. Fergus was angrily shunting trucks throughout the mines.
That Toby's nothing but a bum,
he huffed.
He needs to do it right and fast.
Suddenly, while Fergus was distracted, his trucks went off the rickety rails and into the mineshaft beams. The mine started shuddering profusely, and Fergus was stuck. He whistled as loud as can be, a cry for help. Rosie looked into the mine.
Don't worry, Fergus, I'm coming.
She yelled as she raced forwards. Rosie, wait! Called Marcy Toby, but she paid no mind. She raced into the mines, coupled up to Fergus, and heaved him out just as the mines collapsed. The two engines hacked furiously as the dust settled around them. He looked up wondrously. You saved me, he said with bewilderment.
Of course.
Heaved Rosie, catching her breath.
What are friends for?
The two engines laughed nervously, loosening up as they puffed back to the sheds. Toby stopped them promptly. Where do you two think you're going? He said sternly.
The mines collapsed.
Said Fergus.
We are going home.
Toby didn't argue. Instead, he left his trucks at the station siding and joined the engines, watching the festivities. As the engines enjoyed the night, Rosie couldn't help but notice a strange figure out of the corner of her eyes.